What's going on, everybody? We are back with another Hidden Falls Media Experience, and I am with the one, the only, Marc VanTilburg. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. I know my audience is greatly appreciative of it.
Awesome. Good to be here. Glad to join in. Let's make some noise, brother.
Awesome. I want to challenge you on that. Let's move past the noise. Let's get some value. I don't want to just be a talking head for them.
I like that.
Cool. Marc, man, you've got a really, really interesting background from marketing for the last over 15 years at this point. And,
Yep.
you know, a lot of the theme of this month of what we've been talking about has been a ton of marketing people from all different walks of life. And one of the ones that I thought would be a really interesting perspective is, you know, how you've gone from a primarily print era and
Okay.
what that meant to marketing and what that kind of evolution, and now how you're starting to combine that with digital. And you were talking about marrying the two together. So why don't we kind of dig into that for everybody real fast?
All right, cool. Yeah. So basically we've seen there's been a lot of trends that have, in the direct mail space that have moved, customers. It's very trendy to want digital now. So what we have found is there's still, if you're doing direct mail properly, there's still a high ROI on it. But when you can marry it with different digital products out there. I mean, the whole idea for a customer is to get awareness of what they're doing. And when you're working with somebody, you're trying to get them to, be elevated in their space in that particular marketplace. So the more touch points you can do that, the better. So
before we move forward, we didn't give a background as to what gives you credibility for this space. So why don't we go into that really fast to just kind of set the scene a little bit better for our audience?
Okay, good. Well, I got involved in direct mail in 2004 with a franchise operation in Ohio. And we expanded into 7 different states. Right now we're operating in 5. We just kind of had some things fall through because of COVID, basically. Mm-hmm. But at one time, I was a director of franchise operations as far as recruiting, training, consulting is what I was doing. About a year and a half ago, I divested from that and rolled just back into being a franchisee. So we have about 60 franchisees. We operate about 170 communities in the direct mail space. So, and probably about a year and a half ago, coinciding with my exit, I did get involved with a digital agency that I started. So I have got, I've got a coach locally in Ohio who's got a great program that I work with. And so I would really promote coaching too, by the way. But I think, in today's world, I always heard before, hey, experience is the best teacher. Biggest lie going to anybody out there listening. Somebody else's experience is the best teacher. So
right.
Keep that in mind. So there's a value point for you. If you don't get anything out of this besides that, that is huge in my opinion. So, so that give you a little bit enough of a background.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so let's pick up as to where we were going with that.
Okay, yeah. So on the direct mail stuff, we have affiliation with a magazine. We have a local magazine product. We have premium products like postcards, insert flats, etc. So what's happened in that space? We've done a couple things to expand that brand. We have a mobile app that we're now using that's pretty powerful. So it does give us a more expansive area to be able to do things in and gain more exposure for the customer. We have local Facebook pages that allows us to promote the businesses, the brands, et cetera. Now, what I've done personally on that is I've kind of started engaging customers and non-customers, just in an interview type situation where I can go in and say, hey, listen, I have a new program to do right now. Did you know? I'll sit down with business owners, ask them a series of questions. We have a conversation about their business, and it allows them an opportunity to be able to tell my audience, which is then I'm going to tag back in their audience, a little bit about their brand, what they're doing, some stuff maybe people didn't know about them, help create awareness. Because I think in today's environment, especially coming through this COVID thing, something that's accelerated in the marketing space is, which is what I really like about digital myself personally, is that you can turn on a dime. I mean, you can, with print, you're working maybe 2 weeks, a month out. And then by the time you put something stagnant out there, who knows if the message is actually going to have a relevant or get the same response. Whereas in, digital, you can have, either through Facebook Messenger, Instagram, whatever, you're able to get things out a lot quicker and be able to pivot a lot faster.
So you've seen a lot of different areas and avenues that people have marketed in that, are, I like to look at them as tools in a tool belt with everything inside of marketing. And we just kind of get to look at how we want to build this message, AKA a house, an apartment complex, right? We do it layer by layer and we're looking for the right tool for the right job.
Right.
What have you seen the most effective forms of print marketing really achieve? And where are you seeing the top levels of digital really strive and achieve when you've got that amazing background to be able to see that A/B contrast, where a lot of people that are younger in the marketing space, not to call you on age, but like for us young bucks that are coming in, we only truly know digital marketing to that extent. Copywriting in itself is a lost form. Figuring out how to condense size and mailers is, something not a lot of younger business owners are aware of. How do you start to compare those tools in a tool belt and know what to pull and when?
Well, and to your point, by the way, the younger guys like yourself. Okay, so yeah, I'm. In fact, I go by Graybeard a lot, so that's what you got going on here. All you got to do is walk into a restaurant and look down the tables or down the bar area. And what's everybody doing, man? Everybody's on their phones. So it become very apparent to me that as my age group continues to age, that you're going to see less and less, I think, print and being effective. So the number one thing I would say, though, because print is still very relevant if you use it properly. So there's ways to use it, ways not to use it. What I would say on that regard is in any type of print product that you're going to be doing, it's what do you sell the most of, who's your primary customer, running at the right time of year, and then creating something that grabs eye attention to be able to get readership for it. People are drawn to pictures right out of the gate, not to print stuff. So if you can keep it nice and clean. You can have a great looking picture of maybe some kind of whatever you're doing, or if you're in a restaurant, maybe some great looking food, etc. And you can put that in front of a consumer, and then they're going to take time to look at it, and they're going to, hopefully respond if you got a good offer there. I always tell people, why do you advertise? What's the point of you advertising to begin with? Well, it's you're trying to create awareness, number one. I mean, you want people to know what you do, why you do it, and why they should come do it with you. That's the number one thing why you're doing it. But so depending if you're in a service business, you want your phone to ring. If you're in got a retail storefront, you want people to walk in the front door. So you got to make sure you keep that message on point when it comes down to print. So I don't know if that answers your question on the print side of it. Now on the digital side, what I see is video, man. I mean, video is awesome. It just takes you into getting to know the people. I mean, it's the number one watch thing right now. Actually, they're saying YouTube is the number one source out there of missed opportunity that people should be focusing on. So, but the videos are awesome. So what I had to retrain myself. So I don't know if you have all younger audience here, you got an older audience, but I will say this to anybody out there: you've got to have the mindset that you're willing to learn. Even at my age, you're willing to learn. I'm 58, by the way, and you're willing to dive in and create a new skill set. That way you can stay relevant in the marketplace. That's very important. So, I don't know how many, think about it. You start watching, if you follow anybody on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and they're really posting a lot of content out there, you almost feel like you know them. I mean, that's the cool thing about that. So in my mind, video on the digital side is the number one thing for sure when it comes to messaging. And there's still a lot of businesses not using it. You know, they're not comfortable. So, and that would be another thing I would say. You just got to be willing to get out of the comfort zone, learn something new, take some chances, fail a few times, find somebody who's doing what you know that it's working for, and learn from them. You know, that's the key.
Right. Yeah, there's a ton of value in there. If anybody was, you mentioned the first point that you brought up being a ton of value. I think that right there was its own bit all in itself. I think you nailed it right on the head. Video is, it's almost become expected out of brands in a way, right? If you don't have like video content, even not just on your social media platform, but let's say on your website, of explaining who the owner is, of explaining what different products you have, making it super simple and relatable. So like you said, they feel like they get to know you. They feel like they already know the brand. They know the way you talk. And so much of communication is not what's being typed or written or even, you know, the words that are actually coming out of our mouth, but it's the intent and the message, the body language behind it as to whether or not people truly want to interact with you. And what a perfect form to do that. But we've really talked about all different ways that people communicate. And one of the points you had brought up when we were talking about being concise on a mailer was having a concise and clear call to action. And I see a huge transition between and a huge level of correlation with success between that and the way people run ads on social media. I was guilty of it, you know, when I was first starting out, of making the call to action either too soft or too complex, instead of breaking it down. And it wasn't until I read the book Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, who is a really, really famous copywriter for the mailing industry. He talked about how to really start to break down a clear and concise call to action within mailers, within, you know, large sale or like flyers that would go out in the mail too, and really start to talk about how the organization and the structure of these are truly supposed to flow. And when you look at that in comparison to social media, it matches up exactly with the way things are successful on there as well.
Yeah. Well, and let me just say this, when it comes down, so when I work with a client, you know, what I'm doing now is I'm talking to them about a program that combines both print and digital. Because in my mind, then you can keep the message the same across all the platforms. So I think that's important, because a lot of business owners, what I try to get across to them, hire a professional when it comes to your marketing, right? A lot of them, I always laugh once in a while, is when I'm doing an onboarding or whatnot, you know, every small business owner out there, I think, has got a minor degree in marketing. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the reality to it is, if you don't have a professional, they're going to know more things and be, you know, the layers of how it all works, and thus make it more effective. So the return on investment is going to be worth spending the money, you know, at the end of the day, if you've got a good person that you're working with. So my thought process and all that right there is, you know, like let's take the mailer and let's talk about offers just real quick for a second. You know, you don't need to be real complicated, okay? And you don't want to make so many things, or what I call hurdles, for them to be able to do the call to action, okay? I remember back in my beginning, it's probably 2005. I had a restaurant customer in the print industry. I was real excited, you know, I closed the deal and I was, you know, it was awesome. I was ready to rock and roll, right? And it was a cool concept restaurant, and I didn't know any better, you know, to lead the customer. I more or less let the customer lead me, is what it boiled down to. And he ended up putting an offer in as his call to action. You know, kids eat free Tuesday and Thursday with adult purchase, with 2 adult purchases. Okay, so there's so many hurdles there and so low a value on what was going on. You know, I mean, to you, if you got kids, that's a low value. And then you got all these hurdles in front of it. It's only certain days of the week. only the kids got to eat, and it doesn't talk to the rest of the audience.
Mm.
It doesn't give you the opportunity versus walking in, hey, what's your number one product that you sell? Because again, I think you got to kind of guide the customer back to why should you and why do you want to advertise? Well, again, you want the phone to ring when people walk in the door. So what you want to do is you want the ability to put your best foot forward, because if you give that customer a good experience, what are they going to do? They're going to tell 10 friends,
Right.
right? And if you give a bad experience, they're going to tell 30 friends. They're just going to so you got to make sure you give somebody a reason to walk through the door.
And on the flip of that, when you can get the 30 people that would go verbally for it, now it's hopped online to 10,000, 100,000 people locally, and even for the rest of time of people being able to go back and look at that.
Right. As far as you're talking about, like when they're doing leaving a review or something, is that what you mean?
Not even with that, even with the word of mouth of it being out there. If I put out a tweet and don't even leave a review of a restaurant, that's out there for the face of time.
Right.
Until I go back and delete it, which if somebody is active on any of these social media platforms, how often do you see somebody complaining online? Right? Like boom, boom, boom. Like it would look like a firing squad was going off. So, it's that word of mouth experience that you're talking about working for or against you. It applies the same online. And there's tons of people that have argued much smarter than me, much more influential than me, that, they made whole pushes around the idea of creating the experience of happiness, both inside the business through that basic communication of clarity, through one-on-one interaction, and kind of mirroring that online as well.
Yeah. And so you made a point there, made me think of something. And again, isn't 100% relevant to this conversation, but the customer experience is huge. Okay, because it's almost become a lost art with a lot of businesses. When whether you go in a restaurant or sometimes when you call a service company, the experience that people are going to get, if you can focus on that, once you get someone's attention, right? They saw either a print or you got some digital product that got their attention. There's a call to action there. The experience is now the next layer of what they're going to be remembering from A to Z. That's, but it's almost like a lost art. So it's almost like, to me, shooting fish in a bucket a little bit. Because if you can dial all that stuff in, so few businesses are great at all those items that you can really make a huge impact and grow your business.
That's awesome. It's getting back to the basics of everything.
It is. Yeah.
Just basic communication, basic of doing the right thing for one another,
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So we're running out of time. What's one of the last moments of wisdom that we can drop on the audience, and then we'll wrap it up and tell people where to find you?
Well, I would say, if you are a business, out there, or you need to advertise. Okay, there's some businesses that don't think that they need to. Find somebody you trust. You get to know them, you like them, and you trust them, and have them help you grow your business. A huge opportunity out there right now that we've discussed a little bit that gives you, a good roadmap, or a good going forward. And the other thing I would say in regards to COVID, some people have really pulled back. Man, there's countless examples even popping up even now where it's pushed forward. I'm one of those people. We pushed forward, not pulled back. And because of it, we're going to come out the others, which we're coming out now, but, we gained ground. We didn't lose ground.
Right.
That's would be my advice.
I'm right there with you. We went all in.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Marc, where can people find you?
Well, you can at Marc VanTilburg at townmoneysaver.com is one way. And then I have, let's see, that'll probably be the primary way. Then I have a Facebook page that you can find me on, a local Facebook page under my personal name, Marc VanTilburg.
Awesome. Guys, what an incredible episode. We will catch you in the next one. Until then, go make somebody smile today.
Cool.
you.